Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, a show where three rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on your way to and from work. I'm Shano.
I'm the Chameleon.
And I'm Mika.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, guys, so lots to talk about regarding rugby league. We'll give a quick synopsis, I think, of the state of origin, definitely considering that's coming up, that's coming ahead in next week. We've got affected teams this week in the NRL round. Just announced also that Las Vegas in 2025 is going to be bigger, bolder and better. That's what the NRL are telling us. Griffo, your Penrith Panthers are going to take on the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Canberra Raiders versus New Zealand Warriors, Wigan Warriors versus Warrington Wolves, and the Australian Jillaroos versus England. I think it's really good that they've expanded on last game, that we've gone from what was 4 teams this year. We've included a Super League side, but we've also included a Women's Rugby League side. I think this is really, if we're going to take the game globally, I don't think you can get much more encompassing of what Rugby League is than including a New Zealand team, a team from Canberra, Penrith, Cronulla, both came at the same time. Super League, Women's Rugby League. Griff, I think I know your team's in there, and I suppose when South Sydney got picked, I wondered if they got it right. But I think holistically they've got this right.
Well, yeah, it's shaping up to be a big day of rugby league, that's for sure. 4 games in one venue.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the ideal scenario, but I guess what I've heard is it's extremely expensive to hire out Allegiant Stadium, so they couldn't really spread it over 2 days. But look, it'll be a big day of rugby league, and hopefully, particularly with the English teams being there, you'd be disappointed if they didn't sell it out. I don't know how many.
In my honest opinion, this will be the grand final this year, Wigan versus Warrington.
Okay.
Yeah, Wigan's been awesome, and Warrington, well, I'm wearing my Huddersfield shirt today. They smacked Huddersfield 48-0 the other day, and they're third on the ladder, which is light years from the football they were playing last year. So I honestly think we're looking at 2 of the grand finalists in the Super League, and Jillaroos versus England Women's. If the England Women's can turn up, that could be a cracking match.
Well, it should be. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be there.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. I always said, if Penrith go over there, I'll go. And I'm not sure. I'm not going to be there, but I'm going to look at the packages.
Yeah.
I know my cousin is a Raiders supporter, and
oh, wow.
He's pretty keen to go. With some of his mates, so he's going to look at alternatives. I don't think I've never been to the United States of America, and I've never had a great desire. But I think I'll probably end up going, but it's not 100%. But
yeah.
I know that if I'm still here and it's on over there, I'm going to think, what did I even contemplate not going?
You know what? I know we went to India, and when it was on, so we come back from India, when it was on, there was a small part of it that says, couldn't I have just saved an extra couple of bob just to go? It's more than an extra couple of bob, isn't it?
Because I asked you and I said, if we weren't going to India, do you reckon we could go to the... Do you reckon we'd be going to the Las Vegas game?
Most definitely. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Package deals, I know the NRL put it on. They're looking for a lot of Australian contingents, so it's a big commitment. I think it's good. I think the Rugby League have done this right, that they've built it nicely. I think I think in Penrith, regardless of what Cronulla, New Zealand and Canberra do, you're going to have, I think on the surface, they're going to be round one competitive games. Again, I'd say one of those will be in the finals. In Penrith, you'd assume Cronulla, even if they had a horrible end of this season, would be there. Canberra, New Zealand, well, who knows? I
don't think Canberra will be there.
I wouldn't want to put my money on either of them. But yeah, but really good. That's a day of rugby league I'm looking forward to. So Saturday, March 1, our time. Oh no, Saturday, March 1, local time. That would be American time, I suppose. So yeah, but good thing.
So it's a big Sunday back here watching rugby league. Yeah. I think the first game's at 8:30 in the morning or something like that.
Sounds horrible. Jeez. Have to get
just wake up to rugby league and go to sleep to rugby league in the evening.
Sounds horrible. Griffo, what caught your eye in the fortnight? I got a gut feeling I know, but what was it?
Okay, so I'm gonna give one for last week. Yep. I'm gonna give one for the previous week.
Yep, fair call.
So, for the previous week, it was a double performance from the New South Wales and Parramatta number 7, Mitch Moses, who I thought was outstanding in the Origin. He got man of the match, led the Blues around, great kicking game, set up, I think, was it 4? I think he had 4 try assists, which was like some sort of record.
That first half was just insane, wasn't
it? It wasn't just the try assists. The thing that really impressed me from Mitch Moses, besides that, was his defence. He came up with 2 hits on Tom Dearden, which resulted in Dearden losing the ball and the Blues getting the ball. So he was just awesome on both sides of the ball. And then he turned up for his club side, Parramatta. And while they didn't win the game against Newcastle that weekend, he burned Dane Gagai twice to go over for tries. And I watched that with interest because, there was talk of maybe Gagai will come back into Origin. And I thought, please bring him back. Gagai's got 2 goals.
I've seen him play at South and been in South mode. I'd love to. It was rare I saw him in Queensland mode, though.
Yeah, I think Wally Lewis got about 7 Wally Lewis medals. They're not trotting him out next week. So,
no, that's true.
I think Dane Gagai, great player at Origin level that he was. I don't think he's that player anymore. But let's hope he's the 2024 version, not let's say the 2019 version of Dane Gagai at Origin. But that's what impressed me from that weekend. Mitch Moses was just amazing. He would have got he would have caught my eye, Griffo's grab, just from the Origin game alone. But 100%. He put a bit extra for Parramatta. Last week there was a try that was scored by the Penrith Panthers, where I think it was Jerome Luai put up like a midfield bomb.
Yep.
Liam Martin running onto the ball.
Yep.
Took the ball, which was, quite a feat in itself. He got an offload to Lindsay Smith, and Lindsay Smith kicked the ball through. And I I had my daughter who were watching the game, and I may have uttered an expletive when I saw him kick, because it seemed there was someone ready to take the pass. But the next split second, coming through, I think it was Brian To'o who dived on the ball and put Penrith into the lead. So that was quite an amazing try on from initially the work of Liam Martin to catch the ball on the fly, running forward and get the offload, and then Lindsay Smith, who the first time I saw Lindsay Smith play, I think it was a trial game, and I sort of thought, gee, this guy's getting manhandled.
Yep.
Didn't look an NRL player to me that day, but the progress of Lindsay Smith this year, and to be fair, over the last couple of years, has been fantastic to watch, along with Liam Henry, who's really come on this year. So when James Fisher-Harris announced, or Penrith released him, I thought, we've got a bit of trouble here, but there's certainly some good young props running around for the Panthers, who've now got quite a bit of NRL experience. So Moses from the previous week, the Penrith try involving Liam Martin, Lindsay Smith, and then finished off by Brian To'o for last weekend.
Now, Mika, we've had a bit of a chat about this, and I know we call it Mika's fail, but this is sort of tough to use the word fail in this regard, but in some ways it was. What was your fail, Mika?
The decider of Game 3.
the Sky Blues.
Sky Blues.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something in a sec, Shane.
What's that?
I'll tell you something about that game in a sec.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us, Mika, what was wrong?
Other than the scoreline. Yeah, it was. You go.
They just didn't. I think Queensland definitely came to win. They were definitely hungry for it, and all throughout the game, they got to try in the first minute. So
yeah, I don't know. I find it tough because I think why I feel annoyed with this game was I honestly thought we were going to win.
Yeah.
I honestly thought the Blues and the Sky Blues were going to win. And, there's certain commentators saying this is the worst Blues performance of any women's NRL game where the Blues and Queensland have played. I don't know. What do you think, Griff?
Well, I can't comment really, Shane. Because I switched it off at half time. I didn't watch the second half.
Well, you know what?
I honestly did not watch the second half. I cannot watch any more of this garbage.
Hey, do you want to know?
Rubbish football from the Blues.
All right, I'll give you one better. I basically had to give myself the world's biggest kick in the you-know-where. So Mika was performing that night. And so we went down and watched it. And I said, I'm going to go home and watch it. I don't want to know the score. I don't want to see anything. So I turned it on to Channel 9, and it was quite a while after the game. So I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to see anything. I'll go to replay the game. And I just see Queensland holding the shield. And I'm like, oh, damn. And I thought, well, hang on, I don't know a score. So let's watch the game, because for all I know, it could have been
good and close.
Extra time, nice... and you're sort of saying, the one that got away. By the 30th minute when Robinson scored, I felt ill. I think in that first period when they got to 8-0, where it was like try, conversion, penalty, I had not everything we spoke about the other day about the Blues, the Sky Blues, and what they need to do and how they need to play. I have not seen a team move so far away from the script, because that couldn't have been the script. And then look, it was a fairly large deficit, and Chapman scores and Pearson gets a goal, and you're thinking, well, and then within a heartbeat, it felt like Tamsin Rapana just scores the try. And the silver lining I have for this game for the Sky Blues, and you know me, I'll always look for silver linings from my team. It's a trait of following South Sydney through the 90s and then the 2000s, was that they didn't get beat by more. The Maroons would win, and they've got the shield and they'd be cheering. If that was game 2, they would say, why didn't we win by 40? Because they well and truly could have. So 22-6, the Maroons beat the Sky Blues. Congratulations to them. They are the champions yet again. This was the first best of 3. And when you think about what the Maroons did in game 1, really, and how the Blues played, anyway. But how the Blues played in game 2 to, and almost they did more or less just really the winnable game was.
Oh, but it was a non-losable game. We talked about
at
it.
Half-time, that's right. At half-time, they needed another try at least.
They had no right to lose that game.
No. But look,
I don't know the situation. The coach, to me, is they've got to come up with someone else. They've got to make some changes. A lot of those, ladies individually are top-notch players. They've been around for a long time. But in that last game, starts are really important. And the start from New South Wales involved Emma Tonagato spilling the ball.
Yeah.
Queensland scored from the scrum or in that set of 6.
Yeah.
And then there was a dropout that went out on the full, which apparently you can take a penalty goal from. And then it was 8-0. And just New South Wales just shot themselves in the foot 20 times. That's why I couldn't watch anymore.
You know what I didn't get, Griff? They just kept going these, like the first game where they got so much value was that early ball we talked about. Early ball to Clydesdale, running these corridors that just bamboozle Queensland. I haven't seen that. They did these short sort of bombarding runs, and then in somewhat treacherous conditions, they decided to then spin the ball, and it was anyway. Look, I tell you what, that was what it was. Talking about starts, Griff, game 2, New South Wales Blues 38-18 over Queensland. The answer to every question you ask Billy Slater is we're Queenslanders. What that means we don't know yet. We're from Queensland. That apparently is the answer that all Queenslanders give when they're not sure of the answer.
We're still Queenslanders.
They're still Queenslanders. Yep, apparently so. 38-18. It was a absolute dominant first half. A lot's been made of the second half of people saying, well, if they didn't get away with that first half. I'll tell you now about that second half, and I'll say my piece. There was a Queensland try that in any other day the NRL would get disallowed, and there was a drop ball or the penalty that should have been given to the Blues. 5 metres out, I think it was Cameron Murray, where he was basically pushed back off the ball after being tackled.
Yeah.
They spin that wide, they score. A lot of people are talking about the fact it was 18-4. I actually think it should have been at best 12-10 in that second half. I think they got some significant rub of the green in that second half.
There's no doubt, Shane. They got the rub of the green in the second half. To be fair, though, I think we got the rub of the green in the first half.
Yeah, fair call. I tell you what, I think the Blues were just absolutely outstanding in that first half. The way that they played that football, and finally I know in the first game we were saying kick the ball to Zach Lomax, he's the best catcher in the league. Just some breaking Origin news actually, as I'm seeing it right now, just flicked up on our feed. Burton is called in as Best is sent for precautionary scans on his hamstring. So that's Matt Burton called in. Can I say something?
Well, he was already there, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, called into the starting lineup maybe.
So Best is actually.
I don't know. So that's interesting. Okay. That's Channel 9 have just posted that. Thanks, Mika, social media advisor here.
You're welcome.
Look, back to this game. I don't know how many different ways you can say that the Blues were absolutely dominant, and the Maroons really, whatever they take out of this game, good on them, because they were absolutely outplayed. They were outclassed on every part of that rugby league field, and it was really a first-class dominant performance by New South Wales, led by, as you said, Griffo Mitchell Moses. But some notable efforts from pretty much every forward that ran the ball up. Zach Lomax, Brian To'o running the ball back. Dylan Edwards was like anyone complaining Dylan Edwards got picked. Well, if you haven't been watching Penrith lately, you need to watch that game because he was absolutely outstanding. And Australia has a very interesting headache ahead of them. Who is their fullback? And I'll put it out there. One, James Tedesco isn't in the mix, but that was just a brilliant performance. Zach Lomax is kicking 5 from 7. The sin bin was soft. I thought that was a joke.
Yeah.
But anyway, Griff, if you can add anything, please do. But it makes for a very, very interesting game 3.
Oh, look, it was just a dominant display by the Blues, and great to see because, I mean, normally we're on the wrong end of both the performance and the scoreboard. This team, I sat and watched them at Accor Stadium, or, the Blues. It wasn't exactly the same team, but I left there, and as I was watching the game, and we were never really going to win after Suoliti was sent off, but I got confidence out of the fact that they really dug in. And the scoreboard, yes, it blew out towards the end when they were, gassed. But I really thought they dug in. You could see that very much there was a great spirit in the side.
Mm.
And you add in Latrell Mitchell and Dylan Edwards came into that. And Cam Murray, not to forget Cam Murray, he was great. But I had a lot of confidence that we're going to win that second game.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it would be like it was.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident going into game 3. Well, we'll save our preview for next week. But I like the team that's being picked.
Yeah, me too.
Given, a massive loss, Latrell.
Yeah.
It's very sad
Tell me about
for the Blues, but also particularly for the Cardinal and Myrtle.
Yep.
Apparently, it's not quite as bad as originally thought.
We'll go through that when we sort of hit the teams. Yep.
But I thought it was a great performance. Moses, Luai combined really well. Edwards, as you mentioned, the two wingers made ground. Latrell did Latrell things. The Crichton brothers were great, both Stephen and Angus. Martin was, he's built for that arena. And Payne Haas had his best ever Origin game. It was just an all-round. You could go through all off the bench.
That's
Spencer,
true. Yes,
Spencer off the bench. He is made for that arena as well, and he has this specific role. I don't think we'll ever see Spence start a game, but what he does, he just injects all sorts of energy. And that run that he made, where he just ripped through the Queensland front line, was great to see. And I've seen it plenty of times when he was at the Panthers. I shed a tear every time I see him in red, white, and blue, just as I do when I see Stevie Crichton in blue and white. With hindsight and history, if we had known James Fisher-Harris was wanting to go back to New Zealand, Spencer would still be in Penrith colours. If we had known, a centre, a winger come centre, was going to do some things, a fair chance we might see Steve Crichton still in Penrith colours. So it's sad to see those guys, representing other clubs, but they're still representing the Blues. As you said, Matty Burton, another ex-Panther who's won a comp there, he'll be representing the Blues as well. So I look forward to next week.
Yeah,
I look forward.
Same here. I think it's and Angus Crichton, his game's come to a next level.
One thing I heard. Sorry, Shane. One thing I was listening to a program yesterday.
Yep.
I can't remember what it was, but it was such an interesting point. Angus Crichton and Connor Watson both played in reserve grade in round 1 for the Roosters.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that is an amazing thing. When I heard that, I thought, "Wow!" And they,
I know one was
Blues.
Probably Connor Watson more due to injury return, but definitely Crichton was due to the fact that with the club he was almost out of favour. Like,
absolutely, they signed for
definitely. Yeah, he and I know he's reports of him re-signing, but it was really. I'm amazed at that. Yeah. Yes, it's just amazing what
we'll have to look at the Roosters reserve grade team next year in round 1, Shane.
Yeah, well, that's right. We'll pick up some cheapies. Now, Mika, I know for game 1 was a bit like me the other night. I took the M8 to the airport for the first time, and whilst I was able to get to the end of the tunnel, I followed the airport signs quite easily. The lack of airport signs in and around Mascot really buggered me up. I think that was Maguire game 1. I think in game 1, he was there. He was a bit overawed. He Hudson Young was in as a centre. Liam Martin got shifted there. The poor bugger just, he was where he shouldn't have been. Game 2 looked vastly different. Does this now springboard to game 3?
I think, 100%. So I think game 2, the team was just perfect. The lineup was...
It was, wasn't it? It was the best New South Wales could offer.
It was strong.
Outside of someone like Trebojevic being fit, the other was the turbo kind.
Yeah, and I think this team that he's chosen now, I think he did what he could in regards with injuries.
Yep.
But I just think Best and Burton, whoever goes in to there, I think just won't have the same bite to them as what Latrell normally has.
Latrell's been in a month of form. When you look at
Latrell's finding form at the right time. It's just unfortunate
100%.
that he
100%. And Latrell 4 weeks ago, people scoffed at the idea. We actually said maybe he's a chance, and Griffo had him in the team, and people scoffed at the idea due to his South Sydney form.
Yeah. As
a South Sydney fan, I've seen this guy. Mate, I am absolutely 100%, sweating on the fact that this guy. We heard from South Sydney yesterday. If for those who don't follow South, our members got I think everyone actually got a press release yesterday that said he doesn't require surgery.
No.
It's part of the management plan. I got a gut feeling this is see him move into centres for the rest of the year. But talking about the state of origin now, I think it's I think Maguire got the formula right. Not only did he get the formula right, he got everything.
I think game 1, because teams and people and players, they can change within a year. So you can't look at someone's origin form from last year and say, oh yeah.
Yeah, true.
That person's going to match up really well.
Yeah. But likewise, I think Maguire got the formula right. I think even what he said during the week, he got under the skin of Queensland, and it's been a while since I've seen a New South Wales coach actually shake the cage of a Queensland coach and go, well, yeah, more or less bring it. Look, we'll quickly run through last week's results and then jump into a preview of this week. So last week's results, round 18. On Thursday night, the South Sydney Rabbitohs beat the Parramatta Eels 32-16. Titans beat the Sharks. Ding, 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 ding.
Contenders or pretenders.
Oh, the Jaws music is on. I don't know if it's for good or bad. Yes, the they don't have the teeth that they want a bit more. Going Sharks now, but they're 20-16 against the Titans, who are finding some form. Panthers 14, Broncos 6. That was a performance in learning how to win. In what to me, this game highlights that I know we have Golden Point, but maybe we should just play out the 10 minutes. 13-12 against the Warriors. The Bulldogs won that game. Tigers 28, Storm 40. Cowboys 21. Seagulls 21 and Cowboys 20, another one. 42-12, the Roosters beat the Dragons in what was a fairly dominant performance. And the Knights beat the Raiders 16-12 in what was a really bizarre game as I was watching it. It was one of those games where you're like, I make sure I watch every game every week where I can, and 99% of the times I do that. That was one game I was so tempted to flick to so many other things that were on regarding Formula One, V8s, well, I'll tell a lie. I did watch the V8s in the end. I think I watched the replay of that game because it just wasn't doing it for me. The ladder, Storm first place on 30 points. The Panthers on 26. The Roosters on 24. The Sharks are on 24, but they are on the slide. 22 points sees the Bulldogs and the Dolphins. The Seagulls on 21 in 7th, and in 8th place on 20 points is the Cowboys. In 9th place, we see the Newcastle Knights. The St. George Illawarra Dragons on 20 as well. They're in 10th. On 18 points, we've got a gaggle of teams. That is the Broncos, Raiders and Rabbits. Something to note there, Rabbits have 6 wins while the others have 7. The Warriors are on 17 points in 14 with 7 wins though. They haven't partaken in the buys yet. The Titans are 15th. They have 16 points. Eels in 16th, which, some of the ways they've played and lost, you wouldn't think that. And, well, the Tigers, they're in 17th spot. And, what a difference a couple of weeks makes in Rugby League. We're seeing teams that seem to want to fall, but other teams that seem to want to win. So that then brings us to round 19 of the NRL. And on Thursday, the 11th of July, I call them Redcliffe, so I don't care what anyone else says. The Redcliffe Dolphins take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. This is at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. Don't condone betting in this, but interestingly enough, when the game dropped, Souths were favourites, and now the Dolphins are. Lots of love for the Dolphins, not much for the Bunnies, but that's probably because of a few key ins, which is Anthony Milford and Jack Bostock. They're in for the Dolphins. Kafusi, Marshall King out for the Dolphins as well. Of course, their origin affected as well. They have built a team and a culture this year of who, no matter who goes in there, do a job and do it well. South Sydney, again, key outs of Cameron Murray due to origin, Latrell Mitchell due to injury. As we said, a message was released by South Sydney yesterday that basically said there is no surgery required. He will manage the injury, whatever that means. I think what that means is you're going to see a fairly big positional shift, and he will become a centre at South Sydney for the rest of the year, with Jai Gray this week being in a fullback. He would have been fullback regardless, but I think it's a bit of an audition that if he plays well this game, he may see him there for the rest of the year. Another big in, if you're a South Sydney fan, on the bench, Havili's in. I thought there was some talk of... So there was some talk of Junior Totola being in there, but that's not going to happen. But look, 1-17, Liam LeBlanc in at 17. Bit of a cult figure if you're a New South Wales Cup watcher, as I am. That shows you how my life goes. I watch Rugby League 24/7 pretty much. Jack Whiten, Cody Nikorima is going to be one of the key matchups. Jack Whiten's just getting better with every game. And Cody Nikorima being the big in for the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins, the fact they've got this guy called Wayne Bennett as their coach is helping. Their forward pack is looking exceptionally good this week. Pangai Jr. is in at prop. They've got some real strike power. Both Jesse and Kenneth, they're Ewan Aiken in the second row. It's going to be a big test for a somewhat injured Jairo, who's managing his injury on a week-by-week basis. So if he sort of comes out of the game, he's okay. It's going to have to be up to Cody Walker and Jack Whiten to steer this ship to make sure that South Sydney win. Cody Nikorima in the side behind those big forwards and Jermaine Osaka on the wing. Griffo, what's your thoughts on this game?
It's a tough one to pick. I was certainly leaning towards the Rabbitohs originally. Well, I'm looking at the two sides as they line up. I hadn't checked the teams as yet. The Dolphins have got a pretty good backline there with plenty of firepower with Herbie and Jake Avarillo. Fuller's a bit of a live wire and comes in for the hammer. Katoa is leading them around the park really well, and Bostock, as you mentioned, is back. So Osako's become a new player really since he became a Dolphin. I don't think the Rabbitohs have got that sort of firepower in the back line. Obviously, they got the guile of Cody Walker, who's pretty much back to his best form, and Jack Whiten's been good for him all year. There's not much outside that, really.
No.
I think the forwards probably cancelling each other out. Colin Matongi's been in great form. Off the bench, I think probably the Rabbitohs have certainly got an advantage off the bench, I think, with Tallis Duncan, Burgess, Mamazelos around the ruck. LeBlanc quite well, as you said. I don't know much about him. But the Dolphins players are pretty much straight up and down. Kerr, Nichols, Stone. They'll do a job, but they're not going to win a game for you. O'Sullivan back into the 17 is good to see for him. Toss of a coin, really. I probably now lean towards the Dolphins.
Yep.
With South missing obviously Latrell and Cam Murray. But I haven't put my tips in for this week yet. But I probably, and it's very rare that I ever tip the Dolphins, but they are at home.
Redcliffe too.
Right. Okay. So I think that's probably more of an advantage, even though they get the bigger crowds at Suncorp. I think it's probably a Dolphins victory here. But that's what I'm going to go with. Before we do go to Mika, and we'll get Mika's tip in a sec. We can just rewind to the ladder after Mika gives us a tip, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next game.
Sure.
I've just got a question for both of you.
Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. Mika, I suppose South Sydney's season's been on the line pretty much since the sacking of Demetriou. This, I suppose a lot of people were pumped after last week's game. What's this is the must-win game. They dropped this. It's a big ask considering an injured Latrell. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, South so realistically to make the 8, South can only lose 2 of the next games till the end of the season. Mm-hmm. They have pretty much the Giants of the season coming up. They have So round 22 they have Sharks, contenders or pretenders, we don't know. They're pretty on and off this season. Then after that they have Storm, and then round 26 they have Penrith, and then round 27 they have Roosters.
So this is if they can't win this, they probably shouldn't be in the eight. Is that what you're saying?
I think 100%. I think I'm tipping South for this one. I think they can win against Dolphins, but I think to make the 8, South won't make the 8.
Question for you, Mika, without notice. Who has to be man of the match for South to win?
Has to be man of the match? Let me look at the
Player
teams.
of the match?
I think...
For South to win, who's got to be player of the match for South?
I'm saying Jack Whiten for this
too.
one.
Yeah, I'm too. I'm 100%. I think Keon Koloamatangi in the middle has been absolutely phenomenal. And his positional switch to the middle, which was on advice by Wayne Bennett, has been absolutely phenomenal. Matt LeBlanc is a really interesting inclusion into this side because he's a friend. What's that?
Our friend, Matt.
Yeah, that's right. Liam. Jeez, not the Matt kind. Liam LeBlanc. I said Matt, did I? Far out.
Yeah.
Jeez, he's not my mate. Not anymore.
Well, that's his nickname. That's his nickname, Matt. His nickname. I'm sure everyone calls him Matt.
That's his nickname. The friend, we'll call him from now on.
The friend.
The Liam LeBlanc,
Clayton.
19 years old, from Brisbane. Traditionally a lock, but plays wide. I'd be really interesting to see if they throw. I'd be interested to see if Hornby actually throws a little bit of caution to the wind and has Liam on one side with Talis Duncan on the other, because they're both ball playing locks who have deceptive speed, good fend and great footwork. I think if you had Keon in the middle and then all of a sudden these two outside, that's where I think they can create space. Because I agree with you, Griff. I think our outside backs are a bit short getting the ball to Johnson, Gagai. Jai Gray he's a live wire. He'll fire it in. I think he's going to get a lot of aerial play. I'm going to pick South Sydney. That's a given, but I think it's going to have to be a performance where, completion rate is 80 plus. They're putting pressure on the Dolphins and they're asking a lot of them to come out of their end. I know Whiten's worked on his kicking game and doing that, so that's going to help. But we'll wait and see. Now, Griffo, you want to go back to the ladder?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the ladder. I was having a look at it before as you were talking through it. I wanted to ask you both.
Yep.
Which teams, looking at that ladder, are you locking in for the 8?
Because
it's such a close
top 3 only. Top 3 only.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I actually had this conversation with someone during the week. I actually said the only teams I'm actually locking in for the 8 are the Storm, Panthers, Roosters. Everyone else below that, it's such a hit and miss. The only thing I think if anyone went on a 4-game losing streak out of those 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they'd be dumped out of the 8, because the thing is they play not only each other but people outside that 8, very close outside that 8. I look at the Seagulls and I can't believe they're there. It just seems like I get 2 points every time I pick against them, yet they're on 21. I think that top 3. I just don't. I know there's a lot of hype around certain teams outside of that. I'd want to see them win. Like the Sharks. The Sharks are not that defensive unit they were 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago.
Season defining this game this week.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm with you. I can only lock in the top 3, and even when I think of the 6 losses that the Roosters have had, there are times where I've thought that they were vulnerable. Probably probably Panthers and the Storm are the only two teams where I go, it would, at the moment, it's a Panthers Storm grand final for me. It's just who's going to have this late sort of run home. And this is, I don't think anyone's going to run the Storm down. They've had 13 wins. Like, I just think it would take for them to lose and then other teams to sort of run down. I know the Roosters have had the same amount of wins as Penrith, and I know their differential is better. But in the losses they've had, the 6 losses they've had, they have looked somewhat more vulnerable. But they've got another 2 buys up their sleeves. They're home and hosed, I think.
Yeah.
So
I agree. The top 3 are locked in. I had the Sharks locked in previously, but
can I add?
They're on the slide.
Can I add another team, which might sound absolutely ridiculous, but hear me out. The other team I think which will make the 8 from where they are the Cowboys. The reason being, they've only had 1 bye. They got 4 points in the bank yet to come. And
yeah, but you're not locking them in though, are you?
No, but they're... Jesus.
I think they'll make it as well. But
it's theirs to lose. That's my thing. True. I think it's
they've got that ability, Shane.
Yeah.
That's true. They've got the ability to lose.
It's definitely theirs to lose. Everyone, only the Warriors outside the 8 have 2 buys left. Everyone else has had 2 or 3. So you're sort of looking at they've got to keep winning games and doing it well, because some of them have a pretty poor differential. So look, when we see a season of what can happen in leapfrogging teams, and those 3 are the only ones I'd lock in. So I
think it's the same at the other end of the table. I'm only locking out Titans, Eels, West Tigers. I don't think the Warriors will make it.
I know. Yeah, and I know.
I'm not locking them out. As you said, they've got the 2 buys up their sleeves. So,
look, the Warriors are on the same slide as the Sharks in some ways, where a key moment for me with the Warriors last week was when Tuivasa-Sheck ran through, and the bomb went up late in the game, and Tuivasa-Sheck ran through and went to catch it and spilt the lollies, and you just go,
yeah, that was unfortunate for him.
You just go, if he catches that, I think they were near the 30, and it was just like the Warriors actually made a good effort to get back, and the Dogs were somewhat shot, and that probably could have won them the game. But then again, geez,
But I can't be critical of them last week.
No,
I thought
no.
with the 2, the 3 guys at the back out of the game, to hang in there like they did, I thought they were very good. And there was that controversial no penalty.
Yeah.
Jamin Salmon's got, I think, a 2-game suspension.
Yes.
And there was no penalty in the game. I tipped the Warriors. And
I think, what did Vossi say? He's put his whistle in his sock.
Yeah.
I think that's what Vossi said, and I thought that was pretty fair.
I'm not taking anything away from the Bulldogs, but I think there was, I can't condemn the Warriors on that performance because they hung in there. It's tough. You lost your back 3. You don't have a bench to cover for that. So they did push all the way. It went into Golden Point, and it was, again, Matt Burton who's got the Golden Boot for Golden Point, along with Daly Cherry Evans, who do it week in, week out. And it happens so regularly that those 2 guys in particular, with a field goal, whether it's Golden Point or just before full time, get the win for their team, and both teams are in the 8 because of that. So good luck them.
Yeah, and like I said, that was the game that further highlighted my thoughts on Golden Point. Friday, 12th of July at PointsBet Stadium in Sydney sees the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks take on the West Tigers. This is a big game for both these clubs. One to sort of cement what they need to do in the 8, and the other to basically get off the bottom. Some key ins, I suppose. Katoa, Rudolph, and Hamlin Uele. There's some big ins for the Cronulla Sharks. Justin Olam out for the West Tigers. Out for the Tigers, of course, is Talakai, Rodwell, Hines, and Jack Williams. It's funny. I look at this Sharks team and I just go, how many points is it going to win by? And there's a big part of me that says that they should, and they should win well. But with some of their key outs, it's West Tigers are losing, and I think they're a club that just know how to lose now. That unfortunately they've just forgotten how to win. In games, and I read the ramblings of one of our very good friends, the Doctor. And I think what I read from him and when I talk to him, it's a frustration of a team that's so close. At times, it's so close. Like, after 35 minutes in, they're toe-to-toe with a team. They may even be ahead. By the 65th minute, they are getting belted. And I think that's the conversation that the Tigers have got to have. My problem here is I can't see where they're going to beat the Sharks. I think that, the way he's one more game back, Lachlan Galvin is Lachlan Galvin. Buller, very good rugby league player. Can I just put a maybe somewhat, outside of Coruscant, leave Coruscant out of this for a minute. The group of players who I'm the most disappointed in with the Tigers is their forwards. Their forwards fail to make meters. Their forwards fail to get them on the front foot. So the poor and the players that just seem to get hammered are those who are trying to salvage something from 30 metres out on the fifth tackle. They're playing a team on the weekend which has people like Blake Brayley at hooker, Nakora's back, Wilton's been playing some great football, and Cameron McInnes, who's going to tackle his heart out. If I'm trying to find ways that the Sharks will win, their forwards have got to do well. But for me, the Sharks are going to win this game hands down, Griff.
Well, we saw earlier on in the year when the Sharks were actually flying that the West Tigers beat them. I think it was about
very true. The only team to beat the Tigers, to beat the Sharks at one stage.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to repeat that. No. They're capable of it. We've seen, when they win in 2 in a row. But while I'm not sold on the Sharks as being a premiership contender, because I just don't think they're all that good, I think at home, with their backs to the wall, and literally I think their season on the line, even though they're on 24 points, they lose this game, confidence drops further. And then I
if
think
they lose to the Tigers, they're land for the slaughter.
It's the season over, really.
That's tough.
But I do think they win. The Tigers just too up and down. They can jag a win, and they've beaten some decent teams. Obviously, they beat the Sharks, as we said. But I don't think they're going to beat them at 8 p.m. on Friday night this week. So I'm going to tip the Sharks in this one, Mika.
I'm going with the Sharks as well with this one. I think it's pretty obvious. I think Sharks. I think Tigers might put up a good. I think they might put up a good fight, and I think it might be a good game to watch. But I think Sharks hands down will win the game.
I'm glad you think it's going to be a good game to watch, because no doubt we'll be watching it. But it's just Charlie Staines is the only guy who's got any go forward in this whole team, and he's not. Like seriously, Anyway, I've said my piece already.
This game being refereed by Adam G.
Yes.
Why isn't he refereeing the Origin? I can't understand that.
Can I say, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, considering the way the first 2 games of Origin have been refereed, that he hasn't gotten a run.
I don't understand it.
You know what? He lets the game flow, And can I say that this might actually play in the hands of the West Tigers? I know every Tigers fan thinks the referee's against them. I actually think that Adam G will let this game roll. And if the Tigers are disciplined enough and can get back on side and not be stupid and not hang around the ball and not crowd it, with Adam G as the ref, they've got a shake in this, because Adam G likes a very free-flowing game. The Sharks don't. The Sharks like that kind of stop-start game when their defence can get set and be fit for that. I agree with you, Griff. I 100% agree. So anyway, we've got all on the Sharks there, and it's no surprise. It's, yeah. The Titans on Saturday host at Seabus Super Stadium the Parramatta Eels in what's 15th versus 16th. And when you look at the way the Titans have been playing and you look at the Eels, you think, how is this 15th versus 16th? But it is 15th place versus 16th place. Are key ins for the Titans. AJ Brimson, he is in. Campbell, Jaden Campbell, Khalees Haas, Philip Sammy, and we got Big Tino. What are we calling his brother? Isaac. Yeah, I think
Little Tino.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the Big Isaac and Big Tino, because I don't know. Like he deserves a
nickname
of his own, really. Like, but anyway, digress.
He's on the extended bench.
He's on the extended bench, so he probably doesn't play
with AJ Brimson. I don't think Brimson plays.
Brimson's, it's interesting. I thought he wasn't going to play when I was sort of prepping for this podcast. Yes, we do prep for this, believe it or not. But
someone does.
But they called it. It's interesting that they're calling it sort of 60-40 now, so I don't know. I don't think he plays either. Fodawaker is out for them. For the Parramatta Eels, big outs. Junior Paulo, Mitchell Moses, Sean Russell also out. Lumi, is he on an extended bench? Yes, he is. So,
Lumi, is he still around?
Yes.
Yeah, he's extended bench.
Yes.
Joey Lussick.
Joey Lussick is also on the extended bench. Most people are on the extended bench, but we got
interesting in Shano.
Yeah.
I only found this out this morning.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Mulitalo, who is a twin brother.
Right.
Ronaldo. I didn't even know Ronaldo.
I was about to get to that. I didn't know that. But again, although it's not noted as an in, but Dijon Arzi, he'll play halfback with Dylan Brown at 5'8". Wiramu Greg, where is he's on? He's also on an extended bench, and I'm starting to think they've really got to start putting him in the top grade. But anyway, and I just want to double check. Morgan Harper's also on the extended bench. Okay, so it's a lot more extended benches. This is an interesting game. It'll be an interesting game to watch. There's a small part of me that says it's going to be what happens in the half. Jaden Campbell, Kieran Foran, Dylan Bowen, Dejan Arce. Can I just say this? I honestly think that the Titans are going to win this, and they're going to win it for one reason and one reason only. The kicking game of the Parramatta Eels will not be good enough to push the Titans back. The Titans are going to consistently be starting from their 30, 35 out. I really think I know that Dylan Brown, Arce, that's the combination when Moses is in there. I really have significant reservations. And that's because if you can pin the Parramatta Eels in their own 40, these guys can only get the ball, if they're lucky, to the 20. They're going to have a great start. They're going to have a great start with that. And people like David Fafita, third tackle, 50 metres out, he's just going to be wide running. Khalees Haas the same. I've got the Titans winning this one. I think it's about time they seriously look at finding someone who can just boot that ball. If it's, I don't know if it's Clint Gutherson.
Well, what's the Colonel? What's happened to the Colonel?
Yeah,
Sanders, is he injured?
I don't know, Griff. That's my other question. Is like, I don't know.
He played one or two games, and we haven't seen him again. I know he's off to the Raiders next year, but
can I tell
he's got a kicking game.
100%. Can I tell you, Dylan Brown Dijanasi, I've never seen him kick a ball more than 30 on the fly. Like they're going to have, the Titans are going to have a field day. Their forwards are going to be fresh as daisy 60 minutes into this match. The interchange bench is probably just going to be a matter of cycling, because they're not going to have to do much running out of their own end. I've said it for a while. I don't know why a coach would persist having two players who, yes, can do short kicking game, ball running's great. Long kicking game, unless I'm missing something and unless I haven't seen something that others have seen, I just don't see it in these two. Every time I see them play, they try and find the grass, and the only grass they find is in front of the fullback rather than next to or behind it. I've got the Titans winning this one, and you know what? If people like Verrills and Fafita, coupled with Foran and Campbell, want to have a day out, this is the day they can have. And I got the Titans winning this, and there's a small part of me that says they're going to win it well.
Yeah, I agree. Always weary of a Titans team that goes in as, I assume they're favourites.
Yeah, that's right. It's usually the clincher, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eels win.
But they've been in good form. They've won some good games recently.
It's true.
And they've got plenty of, they've got X Factor, Kinney, Campbell.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be getting the ball.
Pereira.
And that's another thing I didn't mention. Kinney's going to be getting the ball 30 out.
4 points. Brian Kelly's very good with ball in hand. Not so good on the other side, but...
No. But there's no one there to run at him.
Yeah, I got tip Titans, but it's never with, great confidence. Mika, who wins here?
I have to win. I reckon it's going to be Titans simply because they're at home.
Really?
I think.
You think stuff was if it was at Para, you'd be picking Para?
Yeah.
The confidence of youth. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think
Kenny's going to get the ball third. Can I give? Okay, I don't know if there's a market for it. We don't condone betting on this show, of course not. But if you were over the 18 years and you had a spare, dollar to put on something, if there was a long range try market, Kenny's going to get one, mate. He'll get the ball 30 out and he'll just slice through everyone.
Yeah.
If it's not him, it's Khan Pereira.
Yeah. I just no disrespect to anyone from Parramatta, but in the wet against South Sydney, and I know both sides, I know they had, for me, Mitchell Moses is their best player. I think they're one of their forwards is Junior Polo. I think they're... It's
almost no Moses, no power, to be fair.
And can I also say one player who, I don't know, I think if you want more go forward and you want to replace Junior Polo, and you can't, I'm not saying that, and there's no disrespect to Offa Hengawi, but I would have Wiramu Greg in the team. That's
fair enough.
Yeah, I think.
Well, one man who'll definitely watch this game with interest is their coach in waiting, Jason Riles.
Yes. Yes.
Big off-season. Well, he'll be there for 4 years. He's got a big job in his hands. They talk about this being a big Sydney club, and they are, but they've not won a competition since 1986.
No.
And you were born then, Shane. You were quite a young boy.
I was 6 years old.
I dare say that
I remember that grand final against the
Dogs.
There's
probably a couple of 100,000 supporters at least, of the Parramatta Eels who've never seen their team win
100%.
a comp,
yeah.
other than on an old video.
Yep. They're like I was with the Bunnies.
Yeah. It took South, what was it, 40 years?
Yeah, it was
well, I don't see Para getting a comp in the next couple of years.
And can I also add, with Brendan Hands in a hooker and Matthew Arthur in on the interchange, I just don't see the point. It was good that Matthew Arthur, there was a lot of talk when he made his debut that Brad Arthur was going to give him his jersey. I'm glad that sort of changed slightly.
But I think Matthew Arthur is the future of.
I think so too, and that's what I'm saying. I'd throw him in. What are you going to do? Like, you've got an interchange there where you're not going to go forward. Your backs aren't going to kick you out of trouble, so you might as well put some battering rams in there, because if they're kicking from 50 out, at least that helps. They're going to be kicking from 30 out, and it's going to go. They're going to catch it on 30 on the full, and it's just going to be. Yeah, a
bit of talk that the man you mentioned, Shane, might be the man to lead the Perth Bears when they come in 27. That's a couple of assumptions there, but it's looking very much like the Perth Bears will be the next team in the NRL.
You know what, Griffo? You will not meet. I know we've talked about this extensively. And we go for clubs, so we have to stay neutral. So, maybe the whole carpool banner has to stay neutral, but maybe the carpool rugby league team is the Perth Bears, because we have been, from day one, since when Graham and I started this podcast, if you go right back, we've often talked about the protection of foundation clubs. Financially, they have to be fine. Having the Bears out is just something which is not great. Griffo, since you've come on board, we've spoken extensively about the need to have a West Coast time zone team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember when the Force went out? We could not believe that the NRL didn't jump on it then. I only hope and pray that we are correct, and that the bid of the Perth Bears, whatever they're going to be called in the end.
My preference isn't Perth would be their own team, but it's very much looking like
I know that
Peter V'landys wants to get the Bears involved, and the Perth and then the Bears seem to have come to some agreement. Whereas originally the Bears were putting too many obligations.
I think that to be fair
by Perth. So
I think to be fair,
that's what we're going to see.
The best bid for an NRL club in the last 20 years was the Perth Pirates. The professionalism in their bid and what they've done in Perth to generate rugby league has been exemplary. And to then talk to them to change tact, to put them under the Bears banner and make them black and white, I think it's good foresight by the Bears to say, look, we don't need half the home games at North Sydney. We only need 4 or 3.
Well, I don't think there should. Well, maybe 1.
Yeah,
and I don't think Perth is going to put up with that many.
I
can't see any more than allowing 1 game.
I think the biggest problem with any bid is that they've got the backing of about 200,000 people who have put some money behind getting the Bears back. That's coin that you can't ignore, and that's what the Landys have said. So I think that if they get 2 home games, or they get 2 Sydney-based games, I think that's a fair call, considering that you're not going to have another Sydney-based club enter the competition.
Yeah.
And I think that if you want to see your colours in some shape or form run around, then you have to make compromises. And I'm not. Look, I know what it's like to have your club kicked out.
Yes, you do.
And I tell you now, if someone said to me in that second year after we'd marched and after we'd done everything, there was an opportunity to have your colours running out there under a different guise, would it be different? Of course it would be different. Would it mean that you followed them the same? Of course you followed them the same. And, until you see a team punted, you don't have that perspective. And I think a lot of North Sydney fans who are diehard black and red fans, they know what it feels like not following something where you can wear a North Sydney Bears jersey and it's valid again. And I think that's what they need with this Perth bid. But anyway.
I'm living in what is now what would be North Sydney Junior Rugby League area, and there's a lot of support around.
They've got 200,000 people on their books as members.
There's probably one or two teenagers that might be listening to this podcast who are Bears fans that weren't even born.
No.
In the time frame when the Bears were still around.
100%.
So it's a little bit surprising. There is a lot of support for the Bears to re-enter. It's not feasible that they're going to do it.
No.
Obviously, in Sydney. I think maybe it'd be nice for those people to have a home game, but realistically, the future of that
it's in Perth. 100%.
Franchise is in Perth. And you're probably going to get maybe nearly half a dozen away games in Sydney. Maybe not quite that many, but there's going to be a number of them. And if you want to get your fix of your team, and your team is the Bears, whether they're, and obviously they're going to be Perth, you can still go and see 5 or 6 games.
That's exactly right in Sydney, 100%. Yeah. Can I give you another little tidbit? I was scouring through a few weeks ago, and the Ipswich Jets, who were sort of my back in the day where Queensland and New South Wales was separate, and I was a massive South fan. I used to have a soft spot for the Ipswich Jets. Why their bid actually has fallen somewhat is because of the resurgence of Newtown and the idea of Newtown having a team. Now, Newtown can't have a team because you don't want another team in Sydney. But this idea, now, apparently there was this backdoor discussion on whether the Ipswich Jets come in, but they wear blue and they're just called the Jets, based out of Queensland. Because they said for the Sydney audience, they'd instantly gravitate for the old Newtown. They were talking about, and it was interesting. Apparently, water was poured on it almost instantly. But this idea that Volandis in the NRL actually see value in having the Blue Bags back as a team, that's the Newtown Jets, by the way, in some way, shape or form, because what we're starting to see is this cultural history and the success of things like beer and football at Henson Park. And that people, like I think a spokesperson for the NRL one day did a bit of a search through the purchasing of retro jerseys. Right? And during this period they looked at the retro jersey. Right? Number 1, the South Sydney Smith Scripps jersey of 89. Number 2, the Penrith Panthers Dada uniforms are Licorice All Sorts. Number 3, the Newtown Jets Blue Bags was the 3rd most popular retro jersey purchased.
Jeez.
And you think to yourself, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
I've got a family history with the club.
Oh yeah.
My grandfather, who I never met, he passed long before I was around. Apparently he played 3rd grade, probably would have been back in the, I guess, 1930s.
Wow.
With, they would have been the Blue Bags back then.
Yeah.
My dad was always a Blue Bags / Jets supporter. Yeah. I saw a lot of games as a child at Henson Park. My first memories of being at a a rugby league game, like back in the day, New South Wales Rugby League it was at Henson Park with my auntie and uncle. I don't even know if I was at school then, but I do have memories, and I'm sure it was because my attention focused on a tall, bald guy out there, which would have been Chicka Moore in the centres. So yeah, I've got a bit of history, I guess, family history there, with the Newtown club, and watch some games in the car from Henson Oval. Watch some games at various. And the hill there is. I remember as a kid, I thought, man, I can't believe how big this hill is. Maybe it's not that big, but as a kid, it
looked vantage point. Like for park footy, it's Henson Park's not a bad ground.
Yeah, so the Jets. It'd be nice. I know the government and the NRL was sort of gung ho for PNG to come into the competition, and while I'm not really opposed to it, if they're not going to play in PNG, to me, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree with you, Griff. I think the biggest problem is, I actually think it's, I want to say this in the right way. I think it's disrespectful to the people of PNG if you're going to have the PNG team based out of Cairns and rarely plays in PNG.
Yeah,
I think there's no. I think that if it's going to be that tokenistic, let's give them the respect they deserve and leave them as a national team. That's it. Then why can't England? Why can't the London Broncos come to the NRL and play out of Adelaide? Yeah, it's just I just find, for me, any club, if you're going to have an NRL club, they have to be based where their key place of residence is.
Yeah. I can understand, that there's all sorts of security issues.
And I get that. But...
And what player is going to want to go and live in Port Moresby and basically live in a compound?
And that's right. And I think that's the problem with having that club. It's the same reason why we probably won't see a Fijian side in the NRL. I think what this does say, though, is that if you wanted to start exploring the idea of having a second-tier competition where someone gets promotion and relegation, and this is way off topic, well then, all right, if you can produce those teams where they are successfully with locals who are happy to live there and play, and they happen to be successful enough to get in there, then that's fine. But yeah, I think the PNG, as we'd like to see it bid, is a long way from getting any type of traction. That was a good discussion on the national team. I'm loving the fact that
I'm sorry, I've
I agree. And look, that's been a discussion. That Perth team's been something we've talked about.
This all came from Matt Arthur playing on the bench for Parramatta. That's all right. And talk of his dad.
Look, that's true. But you know what? It's probably the change he needs. I think if he was to build a side like that, it would actually give him purpose again. I felt Brad Arthur lost a bit of purpose. Not disrespectfully lost purpose. I'm not saying that, but I think he did. I think he did sort of lose a bit. On Saturday at 7:35, we see at Suncorp Stadium, the Brisbane Broncos take on the St George Illawarra Dragons. Would you believe that the Broncos are 11th and the Dragons are in 10th? Pardon me. Key outs for the Broncos. That's what you first got to talk about. Madden, Carrigan, Payne Haas, Reece Walsh, Selwyn Cobbo, they're out for the Broncos. Interestingly enough, coming into centre, Katoni Staggs. He's coming in. Jordan Ricky is coming into the second half as well. Second row, sorry. For the Dragons, Ben Hunt, Blake Lowry, Zach Lomax out. Zach Lomax, massive out. Interestingly, he's going to go to a team and still play on the wing the way he's playing. I suppose ins for the Dragons. Hame Sele finds his way onto the bench. We've got Jesse Marshke. He's in at halfback for the Dragons. Jack Bird has been named in the reserves bench, on an extended bench. Don't know if he cracks his way in there or not. For Tyler Mariner, finds his way into the second row. And Hame Sele looks like he's found his way onto the bench at number 14. Look, in any other given week, you would think that this is a fairly decent walk in the park for the Broncos, who will just overrun the Dragons. With their outs, it makes this game a little closer. For me, the key guy is in at 5'8", Ezra Mam. Ezra Mam really needs to guide this team around, because yet again, they're another week without Adam Reynolds, who I said at the start of the year, I actually had the Broncos outside my 4 because I said this is a year he won't play a lot of football. He hasn't played a lot. Now they're outside the 8. Jordan, Ricky and Pakura in the second row probably need to also start running the ball a bit wider. Interestingly enough, if you go to the reserves bench, they have no 21 and 22 listed.
I just saw that. I just looked at that. They're down on troops.
They are at the point where everyone they've named in this side, due to Origin outs, is injury is there. So they still, I think, have a very competitive side. I think it's going to be enough in Brisbane to grab the to grab the St George Illawarra Dragons. This game is going to be closer than what most think. Griffo, I think the outside backs actually have a bit of value this week for the Broncos against the Dragons. I think that's probably where they're going to score a bucket of their tries. If the Dragons can tighten up their defence out wide, well, maybe this will be a contest. I've got the Broncos, but not as confident as I would be if they were both at full strength.
Yeah, I'm going the other way, Shane.
Jeez, I was almost going to do it. This is flip a coin for me. This is flip a coin, and my theory is the home side.
Yeah.
Well, I see where you're coming from, mate. I really do.
I grant you 100% the fact that the Broncos have got more speed and skill. And if it's a nice dry track, that's going to suit them significantly, because I've watched this Dragons team live on a wet night in Penrith play against basically it was the Penrith reserves. They are a big team. Yeah. You look at the backs, Tuipulotu, Suli, Fiane and Ravalawa are bigger than some teams' forwards.
They could be
and then second rows. Molo, DeBellin, Faitai Lamara, Sua, Leilua, Murdoch, Masila, Hame Sele, they're powerful. So there is no question that the game plan for Flanagan, because his team doesn't have a lot of skill, almost none. They got a hooker playing halfback. If they're going to win this, it's 100% power. And I think they can do it. They've won a number of games this year, many more than I thought they'd win, but it's pretty much all been a power game. And there's so much power in the side. I'm going to back them. I can't promise anyone listening they're going to win. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty much a 50-50 game, but I'm going to tip the Dragons here. Mika, who do you think?
I have for this one. I have Broncos for this one. I think, they've got some key outs, but I think they just overall as a team they have more skill and speed.
Can I add something to this game? And I'm a bit with you, Griff. I've got no confidence, and I play devil's advocate. When you look at buys, Broncos have had 2. Depending on who wins and loses, they could get significantly leapfrogged. That will be staring down the barrel of 5 losses in a row.
I think they've already had 5.
They have, because that doesn't include buys. So this is their 6th loss in a row.
Wouldn't that be wonderful to see?
It'd be great to see. I've got a gut feeling if they lose against the Dragons, I'm putting the line through them.
I'll put a pencil line.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, with their best team, they could win every week and get into the 8.
True. I just think that
it's going to be tough if they lose this one.
It's going to be very
what's
tough.
What's their run home look like?
It's going to be very tough considering that they've got Knights, Bulldogs, Titans, Cowboys, Eels, Dolphins, Storm. So
full strength team, I reckon they could.
They can win every one of those.
Every one of those, can't they? Yeah, it's a fair call.
Yeah.
So
can, not will.
Yeah, they can. Maybe they are a team that's just they are struggling, aren't they? Like really, in the grand scheme of things. The last game on Sunday, 4:05, 14th of July, sees the Manly Warringah Seagulls take on the Newcastle Knights. If you had told me at the start of the year that this was 7th versus 9th, I would have found that very interesting. Wow. Let's talk about the outs for the Seagulls, because I think that's probably more important than some of the ins. Ben Trebojevic is out. Daly Cherry-Evans, Jake Trebojevic, and Kula are out for the Seagulls. That sees Sheepdog comes in on an extended bench. We have, let's just go through the teams. That's probably a better bet. Tommy is there at fullback, interestingly enough. Garrick is there. He's in at centre. Luke Brooks, Jamie Humphreys at halfback. You have Olakau'atu named on the second row, with Chan Kum Tong of the Gordon kind. He's in the extended bench. He comes in.
Carpool Rugby League favourite.
Carpool Rugby League, one of Carpool Rugby League favourite. And Corey Waddell, he's on the interchange as well, and he comes in. Some players probably outside of that you know, I don't know if they're cover or whatnot. Outs for the Knights. Bradman Best, Dane Gagai, Tula and Ponga are out, which sees some people coming into the side. Thomas Kent, he's going to come in at centre.
Both Kent and Lucas were both back rowers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the centres.
They're in the centres, so they're going to have to be ball playing back rowers really. And I don't think Lucas is. I think he's more about. It sees Will Price and Jackson Hastings match up in the halves. Sasai Fidi, Daniel, not bad. Leo Thompson, Tyson Frizzell is going to be the captain. Matt Croker, Brodie Jones, Sasai Fidi and Jaden Brayley are on the interchange bench with some a couple in the reserves that aren't slouches either. It's, I suppose, yeah. Riley Jones is an extended bench, yep. So, the Sea Eagles taking on the Knights at 4 Points Park Stadium. Look, I just think that when you've got a guy called Tom Trbojevic in your side, Jason Saab, Ruben Garrick, Tommy Talau, Luke Brooks, I think their back line is far better settled than what the Knights is. I think they're going to get far more value out of their outside backs. The forward pack, interestingly enough, it's going to be interesting just to see what they do. I think Olakuatu, Lawton and Brown, a very, very good sort of back row combination, which should actually provide some punch out wide, which might give the likes of Jason Saab, Ruben Garrick, and Hopewadi, who's been very good when he's played, some value. I just think there's too much strike power for the Seagulls. Can I give the Knights fans something to think about? I do think that the Knights forward pack, if it plays to its potential, can actually get some value and trouble the Seagulls a bit. It's going to be what the back line for the Knights does. And I just don't think the back line for the Knights is just going to have enough firepower to get it over the line. Again, I do think Jackson Hastings is going to have to be inventive with his kicking game. Kicking on the fourth, looking for ways. Even if it's midfield bombs, I don't know what he's going to have to do, but he's going to have to find something to put some pressure on people like Tom Trbojevic. I think looking at Tom Trbojevic, if I was a coach, and I'm not an NRL coach by any standard, but if I was coaching against Trbojevic, what my key thing would be was, no matter where we are, make him run for the ball. Even if you're chipping over the top, make him have those close, make him run. Because if he's got a problem and he's got an issue and he has to go from stop to 100 k's an hour in next to no time, that's when you're putting his consistently injured hamstrings under strain. And I would be looking for ways to make him have to run. And if that's punching it deep, if that's doing it short, make him have to run. Make him have to meet you or run towards you. I think if they have that in the back of their mind, now I know that's giving Tom Trbojevic the ball. I know that's giving them a leg up, but I'm telling you now, he is not as fit as what he should be, and rightly so. He's been injured. But likewise, you've also got a team that were more than happy to think about playing him in the centres to mitigate against his injury. I think that that's the only silver lining I've got for those backs. The forwards, if they play well, will match it. Trbojevic, Saab, Garrick, Hopewadi, under Luke Brooks's movement around the park, behind that forward pack, I actually think they're going to go very well this week, Griff. Seagulls for me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with most things you said there, Shane. I looked at, while you were talking, I looked at the Newcastle forward pack, and I don't think there's any injuries in their pack. And then the whole bench also are forwards. They're going to have some problems if, as it is, they've got two forwards playing in the centres. Manly, obviously, they're going to miss Daly Cherry Evans. Humphreys, I don't know if this is his debut or not. He's off to South next year. Mm-hmm. Apparently, there's some raps on Jamie Humphreys.
Yep.
I've not seen him play. But I'll be surprised if Turbo plays at fullback. I think we'll see Hopewadi play there and Tommy Talau revert to the wing with Turbo back in the centres. But we shall see. I just think Manly will win this game. Newcastle have been resurgent. I'd sort of written them off for the year a little while ago, but they've been able to jag some wins, and they're thereabouts on the ladder. We talked about how many teams can make the 8, and the fact that most of these teams sort of play each other. So it doesn't just mean you go forward 2 points. It means you generally might be hopping up the ladder above the team you're coming up against. And just reverting to the ladder. The Knights are on 20 points in 9th position. They've got not a great for and against. but if they beat Manly, they'll leapfrog them. Manly are on 21. And
the Knights have a bye in a couple of weeks. So
there you go. They might find themselves back in the 8.
Yep.
But it's snakes and ladders, really. You lose one and you drop.
Yes, that's so true.
So unfortunately, the animal most like a snake, I think they've dropped out. The water snake, eel, they're not. They could win every game and possibly still not make the 8. So I've written them off. But big game. If Manly can win this, they solidify their spot in the top 8 and may even climb further up as maybe some other results might go their way.
Oh, Griffo's been.
So,
there you go, Griffo. Sorry, Griffo, that was me.
Okay, no, that's okay. Just saying that if Manly they do get a win here and South beat the Dolphins, Manly will go further up the ladder. So every game has a bearing, other than I think the Titans and the Eels won't have any bearing on the top 8, but every other game, almost every week, will.
Yeah.
But it's Manly for me at home, Mika.
Yeah, I have Manly as well. If Manly win this one, then they go up to 5th spot. So I think this is one that they're definitely going to want to win. All the stats are on their side. All the good stats are on their side, but I think they can win this one. Yeah,
the Bulldogs, Cowboys, Panthers, Raiders, Roosters, Storm and Warriors all have byes. So that's it for this round preview. Massive week of football, round 19, done and dusted. Next week we've got Origin on Wednesday. We're definitely going to preview that on Tuesday. It's going to be a massive week of football ahead. It's now coming to the business end where, we always say every game counts, but we're getting to the point where teams are playing each other where it's important. Key matchups, teams that just need to keep winning, teams that seem to be falling out of contention, others they're falling out of form. So it all makes for a very, very interesting week with the summit of next week being Origin Game 3, which, you're rolling into a great week of football. Some of these games I'm absolutely looking forward to. And then you have Origin on Wednesday. So thank you, Griffo. Again, Mika, thank you for being here. Listeners, thanks for being a part of this. Thank you for listening to our podcast. I think I read we'd cracked 11,000 downloads. So thank you very much. It's been a good journey over the years, from the console of the car pre-COVID to the format we have now. Thanks for sticking with us. And Griffo, as always, it's been a pleasure. Mika, it's been a pleasure. And whoever you go for, have a great week.
Thanks, listeners. Tell your friends, Carpool Rugby League, we're still around. And Bill, it's been a good chat today. We're doing it earlier than normal.
Yep.
And it looks such a wonderful weekend a wonderful week ahead. Some good games this week, obviously Origin affected, but it's good that we've got something to showcase for the NRL. Have a good week, people.
Bye.
And if you're into your football, Herp Holland.
I was going to say that. I was going to say you've got something happening before all the Rugby League. What's it, 4:30 a.m. tomorrow?
Yep.
What time does it kick off?
5. We just got to beat England.
Beat England.
Massive
Spain's
game.
in the final.
Massive game.
Wij houden van Oranje. Herp Holland.